talk about Caulifla. Starting with her aura, it is just the base aura, so that is going to get a 3. And then she has that base grab, which is just going to get a 2. As for her skills, she has false courage, which gives her a little bit of armor. And then she has the wild sense. This isn't that bad, but it is pretty middle of the road, so I'm going to give it a 3. As for her blast, she has a full power energy wave, which is red, which I like, and then she has a super explosive wave. And this is going to be a trend with these characters. And then we have her alt, Crush Cannon. The windup is cool, and that's the last good thing I have to say about this attack. It's a volley. It is an ultimate volley. It makes contact and nothing happens. They just take damage. It's not flashy, but I will give it that it's unique as one of the only straight up full power energy volleys in the game that is an ultimate. Guys, I know this is crazy, but between this horrible ultimate and the super explosive wave, I'm gonna give this blast lineup a 1. As for Caulifla's aura, I like this character. She's very cool, she's very spunky and fun, and is one of the only representations of a Saiyan woman that we have in our modern Dragon Ball story. And I like that. I really hope that the end of the Tournament of Power is not the last time that we see these characters. I think I'm gonna give her aura a 4. Next up, we have Super Saiyan Caulifla. Super standard Super Saiyan transformation sequence, not anything particularly of note. Of course, she is actually Super Saiyan 2 here, so her aura has the Zappy Zaps, which is gonna bump it up to a 5. Unfortunately, she has the same grab again, so that's gonna get another 2. Moving on to her skills, we still have the Wild Sense, but then she has full power and Insta-Spark. This is definitely an improvement. We're gonna give this one a 4. And then for her blasts, starting with Energy Blast. Hey, it's not a super exciting name, but it does the job. And I really like this one. It's a good size beam. Of course, it is that Caulifla red, but I just love the detail at the very beginning of the windup where she looks at her hand like, oh, this is the power that I'm currently in possession of. And then she, of course, fires it with one hand like she's only using a little bit of that power that she's currently tapping into. There's just some really good characterization there. However, we then have High Power Rush. Hello, Kaba. I didn't think we'd be seeing you in this video. This rush is just not good. I'm sorry. And the fact that Kaba has it in base, but Caulifla has it at Super Saiyan 2 is kind of wild. I feel like we could have just invented an attack for her to have here if we needed to. Super disappointing. But then for her ultimate, we have the Limit Break Blaster, which starts off as a really nice red beam. I like the windup. And then when she fires it off and it makes contact, Kale comes in her Super Saiyan form, and using the power of friendship and also Kale's like berserk form, their beams combine and blast the opponent. And it looks really cool. A final shot of the opponent getting swallowed by the beam would have been nice, but the windup for this attack is just so flashy and cool, I'm willing to look past it. This is a solid moveset. It's definitely better than Caulifla's base form. That high-speed rush is just going to keep it from a 5. So, the blast lineup here is going to get a 4. As for Super Saiyan 2 Caulifla's aura, again, it's just even better. I know, people don't like the back tingly thing, and I don't really care for it either. That's not what I'm ranking. I'm ranking her as a character and how she was translated into the game, and how much I like her as a character. And all things considered, I like Caulifla as a character. And I think with the exception of that rush, all of her characterization has translated to this game pretty well. She's very sassy, she's very hard-headed, and that comes out in her movements and her design. So I'm going to give Caulifla's aura a 5. Next up, we have the other Lady Saiyan from Universe 6, Kale, who also just has that base aura here in her base form, so that's gonna get a 3. And then she has this grab also, so that's gonna get a 2. As for her skills, we have full power charge, which I have really come around on, and then going berserk, which is an Insta-Spark. This isn't a bad skill lineup. I'm happy to give it a 4. And then for her blast, we have resistance cannon, which again, I just love the characterization of these Universe 6 Saiyans. Also, is this the first time that somebody's like, oh, I gotta aim my beam? That's just kind of a fun detail. It is basically just a full power energy wave, but it's a solid beam nonetheless. And then we have full power energy blast volley, which is just a volley, but again, I kind of like the way that she charges it up. I really like that they leaned into her timid nature, and that everything she does a little bit reserved. And then for her ultimate, we have resistance blast. And we've kind of come full circle here, where in this attack, she's kind of trying to portray an air of confidence. She's trying to hype herself up, and the attack itself isn't particularly impressive. I would have liked some more feedback on the back end of this attack, but but the attack itself being smaller and a little bit less powerful looking at least, again, just fleshes out this character and her identity. I'm happy to give this blast lineup a 4. As for Kale's overall aura, I've pretty much said everything that I would like to say at this point. I really like this character. I really like the way that she's characterized. Having a timid Saiyan is kind of an interesting idea to play with, especially with some of the stuff that we'll get into here in a second. I also like the design of this character, along with both of her Super Saiyan forms. I think I'm going to give Kale's aura a 5. Next, we're going to talk about Super Saiyan Kale. I know technically she went Berserk first, but I wanted to save the best for last. This transformation isn't anything special, but I love the Super Saiyan model. I like this bulked out, tall version of Kale. Just a really interesting idea. Also, her aura is going to get a 4. Still no unique grabs, so that's going to stay a 2. And then for her skills, we have the Wild Sense, and then we have Saiyan Spirit. We have a counter move and we have a buff move. This is better than base Caulifla's, but it's still just a pretty middle-of-the-road skill lineup for me. I'm going to give it a 3. And then for her blasts, we have Resistance Blast, move from the ult slot to her Blast 1 slot, and yeah, I think it's fine. And then she has a Super Explosive Wave. It's green, so there's that. And then for her ultimate, she has the Limit Break Blaster, which is the same move that Caulifla Super Saiyan 2 form has. It is paced the exact same way. The only real difference is the windup, because of course Kale is firing it, not Caulifla. And she actually kind of charges it up like Finish Buster. I like this windup just as much as the other one. But at the end of the day, it is still the same attack, and it still has the same problems. For the same reasons that I gave Caulifla a 4, I think I'm going to have to give this blast lineup a 4 as well. Just don't love Super Explosive Waves. And then for Super Saiyan Kale's overall aura, I really like this form. Of course, given the context that she goes berserk and she gets this huge, bulked out form where she loses control, is cool. But I like that we didn't completely lose that when she gets her controlled Super Saiyan form. I like that she still gets taller and gets buff. And her hair is a little bit more crazy than I think it would be if it was just a normal Super Saiyan transformation. I think this form looks cool, and I think the confidence that she's exuding comes through in the characterization. So I'm gonna give Super Saiyan Kale's aura a 5. And now we talk about Berserk Kale. I like this transformation a lot, and that aura looks really good. It's this really nice, kind of legendary Super Saiyan-esque green. It is going to get a 5. And then we kind of just have the base big guy grab, which is a little disappointing. That one's just gonna get a 2. And then for her skills, we have Cry of Rage, which is actually a paralysis type move, where she just yells at them and it stuns them in place. Very cool. And then we have Berserk Rage, which is an Instaspark with a little hidden detail. If you use Berserk Rage against Goku specifically, Kale gets a ton of buffs. But if you were to use it against any other character, it'd just be a normal Instaspark like any other. Just a really fun little detail that ties into the characterization of Kale, which is kind of cool. I'm gonna give this skill lineup a 5. And then for her blasts, we have Gigantic Impact, which is kind of just Resistance Blast. Don't get me wrong, it is fine. And then we have Gigantic Throw. Firstly, love the voice acting here. It's time for a bloodbath. Ugh, so cool. But then we just have this really cool rush where Kale just slams the opponent around like she's the Hulk. I especially like this little part where when she slams them down, they bounce back up a bit, and that's what gives her the ability to follow up with this ending blast. This is a really cool rush. Better than some ultimates, looking at Kaba. And then we have her ultimate, Berserk Blaster. And it's an explosive wave. Granted, it looks cool, and it actually has a pretty unique finishing animation when it actually makes contact, which sets it apart from pretty much every other explosive wave in the game. I'll accept it. I'll give this blast lineup a 5. And as for Berserk Kale's overall aura, I mean, it's not lost on me that she's kind of supposed to be Universe 6's Broly. I mean, she loses control, her hair turns green, she gets all jacked. It's pretty 1-to-1. But I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool that we have 2 Brolys in canon now, and one of them's a lady, and I appreciates that. I'm gonna give Kale's overall aura a 5. Alright, now we're going to talk about Kefla, the fusion of Kale and Caulifla using the Potara earrings. And this is a pretty standard Potara transformation, and that is going to just be the base aura, so that's going to get a 3. Moving on to her grab, I'm a little torn here. Up to this point, pretty much every single one of them has had the same grab. And I appreciate that now Kefla has a different grab, but it is the Goku grab, which, because of its overuse in this game, I have given a 2 historically. Now, I don't want to get called out for being inconsistent, but I think the fact that Kefla has this grab, and it makes sense for her character, and it is still set apart from both Kale and Caulifla themselves, I'm gonna give her grab a 3. And then with her skills, we have Wild Sense and High Tension. We've been seeing a lot of Wild Sense today, and we've been seeing a lot of these buff moves too. And I'm gonna keep it at the same score of 3. And then for her blasts, we have Blaster Ball. Pretty standard key ball, but it looks cool and I like it. And then we have Gigantic Swing. And this rush is a lot of fun. And it actually does a pretty good job of conveying the speed with the tornado. Again, I also like it when fighters do sillier moves because it kind of helps convey how powerful they are. They're toying with their opponent. So when they do outlandish things that they very obviously don't have to do, it's just showcasing subtly how powerful they are. And I like that. And then for her ultimate, we have Gigantic Burn, which is a super explosive wave. I let Berserk Kale get a pass, but I am not going to let this one pass. I'm gonna give Kefla's blasts a 4. As for Kefla's overall aura, I adore the design of this character. And I don't think I've used that word to describe anything in this entire series. I really just like this character's design. And she brings so many unique moves to the table. I'm gonna give Kefla's aura a 5. Next up, we have Super Saiyan Kefla. And in this form, she loses her ponytail and her hair just splays out. It looks really cool. And she gets a nice, unique green aura, which has little Super Saiyan 2 zappies in it. So it's gonna get a 5. We do see that same grab again, so I'm gonna give it a 3. And then for this blast lineup, we have False Courage and Finish Sign. All buff moves across the board. This is interesting. Personally, not my favorite skill lineup. I'm gonna give it a 2. And then for her blasts, we have Blaster Ball. Again, I guess. I don't know why she has it twice. And then we have Gigantic Claw, which is a super cool, unique rush. I really like using energy like Wolverine claws and slashing at the enemy. It's just really cool visually, and it is a unique Kefla move. And then for her ult, we have Hexa Cannonball, which is another really unique looking move. It is kind of a double volley, but it more so acts like some of these attacks we have in the game where when you connect the attack, it triggers the rest of the animation, which just ends with a nice final beam. Again, same complaint I have with a lot of other ultimate attacks from these Saiyans, is just the ending could have been a little bit more impactful. Honestly, I think the best move in this blast lineup is that rush, and it is just not enough to save this one. I am actually going to drop this down to a 3. And then for her overall aura, again, a super unique Saiyan. It's a Potara fusion. She has a unique hairstyle. I do, however, wish that we got a little bit better of the characterization out, and you're not ever going to hear me say this, but just this once. I think Xenoverse does Kefla better. I think it does a better job of showing, oh, she's got a lot of power, and she doesn't know how to control it yet, she's just letting loose. This moveset does not convey that power, which is a bit disappointing. So I am actually going to give Super Saiyan Kefla's aura a 4. And lastly, we have Super Saiyan 2 Kefla. Again, a fairly standard transformation sequence. But for this form, her aura is a much more vibrant green. It looks good, and it's still going to be a 5. Same grab, same score. Moving on to her skills, she has the Saiyan Spirit, which gives her some buffs, and I'm number 1, which is an Insta-Spark move. This is pretty good. It's definitely an improvement, but it's still not the best. So this one's gonna get a 4. And then we have Gigantic Ray. It's a unique looking volley, but it's just a volley. And then we have Gigantic Breaker, which is a pretty good short and sweet little rush. This is definitely that Kefla attack that I was waiting for from the previous form. And then we have the ultimate Gigantic Burst. And I want to preface by saying this is one of my favorite looking attacks in the anime. Here, I'm a little confused as to why it starts as an explosive wave. I still think that the actual attack's windup is cool, and I think the attack itself looks pretty good. But I kind of wish that we didn't get the start with the explosive wave so you can see more of the beam when you fire it off. I also would have liked a little bit more feedback from the opponent. Either getting swallowed by the beam, a larger explosion, just something. I do still think that this is Kefla's best blast lineup. We have a lot of unique attacks in here. Even if they are derivative of other attacks that I tend to not like, they still look really cool and they make sense for the character to have. So I'm gonna give her blasts a 5. And then for Super Saiyan 2 Kefla's overall aura, I mean, come on. I've said what I need to say. I think that her translation into this game was done well. I think that this character is cool. I like Kefla. I'm gonna give her aura a 5. And with that, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of this moveset review. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It really helps me out a lot. But with that, I have been Gunchpot. This has been a moveset review. Thank you everybody again so much for watching. And of course, as always, see you next time.